Okay, hello everybody. It's about time again where national discourse people are talking about heroes in Nigeria, and as we all know, uh, Babangida, the general himself, Maradona, as he's widely called, launched a book just a few days ago, and he raised billions because there are so many people, former presidents were there, former senators, former governors, a lot of people were there, dignitaries so called, and history is being retold. And I want to see reactions from people who are directly connected with these stories or who have something directly connecting with them. So I'm live with Abdulmumeen Abiola. Abdulmumeen, if I recall, it's about the last born, if I'm correct, of MKO Abiola, Chief MKO Abiola. I'm sure he's going to put us through if I'm correct, or he's going to correct me if I'm wrong. But then, what is important here is that we just want to talk about history, events in contemporary times, and our reactions collectively. So, Abdulmumeen, you're welcome to the live show. And let us have, in passing first, what your immediate reaction is to the book and how IBB has finally come out to declare that MK Abiola actually won that June 12th election.
First of all, thank you for having me, and to all the viewers. I'm saying hello to all the viewers. I heard the revelations just like you did. For me, I think it came in two parts. The revelations came in two parts. So the first part, where you had him declare, acknowledge the fact that Abiola actually did win the elections, was something that was already known to most Nigerians who were alive during that time. I think it was even clear. I think they say that even the blind and the deaf knew that Abiola had won that election. It wasn't something that, that I ever questioned. I ever questioned. So yeah, so that's the first part. But then the second part, so that was neither here or there. Since I already knew this to be true, the first part didn't really make an effect. But the second part was what I really was, because the second part was where he expressed remorse for his actions at the time. He also expressed a willingness to redo, if he had an opportunity to redo or make a different decision, he would have taken a different path. So I think that's important because, I think it's Alexander Pope who said, it is human to err, but it's divine to forgive. It's important that we understand that as human beings, we make mistakes, and some decisions that I make now, the effects or the repercussions of those decisions are not readily, the effects are not readily, they're not immediate. So sometimes it takes a while before you realize that some of the decisions that were made were wrong or bad. But the most important thing is once you realize that, you have made a wrong decision or you've done something wrong, it's good to, first of all, acknowledge that that decision that was wrong, and then also try to seek recompense or look for ways to make amends. I think that's important. So for me, I would tell you that the whole event that he's talking about, the June elections, was not, it was that Abiola was involved, and his wife was also killed, but there were many Nigerians whose hopes were dashed. It was very traumatic, not only for the Abiola family, but for the nation itself. So, if not for anything, I think it's a start towards the healing and recovery process. So I think that's where I would leave it at that. We can't change the past. We can only focus on what we can do moving forward. And I think the future is brighter, and since it's something that we don't know, it's brighter if we work towards that. So I think my father would not want us to dwell on something that happened 2 years ago, but would want us to focus more on, being able to realize his dreams and his visions for the country.
You spoke some deep words there. For instance, about forgiveness, about looking forward, about leaving the past behind. But then a lot of people are finding it difficult to actually just move forward like that. A lot of people believe that even despite that the revelation and the confession is coming somewhat late, 32 years after, it's a long time. Some people still feel something should still be done. If somebody is making such confessional statements, shouldn't still there be some kind of reprimand, some kind of maybe little punishment? some kind of maybe just some reactions, maybe some national steps or actions on it. At least somebody should be punished. That's the reaction of so many people. So I'll just ask, do you think this finally lays to rest the pains or the trauma felt by you or maybe generally the family? Or would you think it doesn't just end there? I mean, there should still be one or two other demands to say, okay, now that you have come to make this confession, at least would we now be able to add at least one or two for this to now consummate in total healing?
First of all, the healing process is not there's no quick fix. It doesn't end here, and it doesn't necessarily begin. It doesn't end here, and at the same time, um, it doesn't necessarily stop. You know what I mean? He has said his part, and I'm telling you, there's going to be more revelations. You see, the issue with this whole June 12th saga is Babangida did not just do it by himself. There are going to be more books being written by some of the men that you saw at that event, to shed more light
Some of the
on
men at
the
that
effects.
event.
There's more to be said to this story. It's not over, and from
Oh, please
yeah.
check your audio. Came in and muted his mic. Wow.
Huh?
Hello, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, but we can no longer hear you. I guess maybe the cause disturbing your phone took your mic.
Okay, so
You
how
might
do we
need
do this
to
now?
just toggle on off your mic again
Okay,
and
can
see.
you hear me now?
No, we can still not hear you.
Allah.
This will be trouble.
Wow.
This will be trouble. But can you hear me?
I can hear you. I can hear you.
Okay, but I guess something is wrong with you. Would you try to close
And then
apps running on the
okay,
background?
let me do that. Let me do that. Okay, can you hear me now? Can you hear
I
me now?
can't hear.
Wow.
Hello, everybody. Can you hear him? Can you hear him? Maybe it's
Can
just my own. Can you hear him? Okay,
no,
people
if
say
you
they
can
can
hear
hear
me.
you, but I need
Oh,
to hear you. I
okay.
don't know. Okay, let me
Yeah.
see.
So it's from
People
your
say
end.
they can hear you. Let me check my own setting. Perhaps it's because you went off for a moment and I didn't hear. People say they can hear you. Okay, so I think what I'll do is let me change my own settings to let me change my own audio. Okay, please say something now. Let me see if I can hear you.
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Okay, I can hear you. Okay, so go ahead now.
All right. Okay, so like I said, there are going to be more revelations to be had. My worry is if we had to wait 2 years for this revelation itself, how long do we want to continue looking backwards when we're trying to move forward? You see, Abiola was a messenger. He had a message, and I think the message is still an enduring one. We can't, no matter what has been, what will be said or what has been said or what, I think the most important thing right now is that we have a country and a nation that is fractured, and we need to see how we can become more united, in that spirit. I like I said, I acknowledge the past. I'm not in any way belittling the events that occurred during that time and the people that were lost. People lost limbs, people lost livelihoods. There was so much trauma that came about that whole event. Not to mention after my father, was trying to fight for his mandate, he was arrested, imprisoned. My mother was killed. There's so much, and if you want to start, picking at old wounds, you're not going to stop. We're going to have, and we will not be able to move forward. So I think that, we acknowledge the events of the past, but we don't dwell on it because, like I said, there's going to be more revelations to come. So I'm not trying. But I'm not belittling it. I'm just saying we shouldn't dwell on it. We should try to focus on the message that Abiola was trying to get across, and the message is, a country that equality is guaranteed. Justice is not just a slogan, but it's a living, breathing organ of a nation. There's a way we can we can do both at the same time. We can heal and still make progress, and I think that's the most important thing. So, like you said, you asked about repercussions or reprimands or punishments. If you were to even read the book, and the part we're talking about, the June 12 saga part, Babangida said he is sorry and he apologized. But when you read the book, you realize that he had basically said that Abacha did it all without his permission. So I don't know if I'm telling you that I'm sorry about something, and then I'm not saying it's my brother that did it. Am I really? If I'm not the one, so you know, I for one, I like I was saying, like we have lost so much time, and the events were very traumatic for the country as a whole. That in my zeal to see a Nigeria that my father had envisioned when he was running, in my zeal to see that, I think it's important that we acknowledge those events, but in the interest of a nation that is mostly young, and most of the kids of today, the majority of the people of today were not even alive during that time. They don't even know about this June 12 that we're talking about. So I think we need to
Absolutely.
start to address the issues pertinent to us now, not something that happened 32 years ago. So yes, I get your point that but things like this are not supposed to be for us to even discuss. Institutions of government are supposed to do the needful. If there's anybody that is found wanting, I guess this would be a matter for lawyers or courts. Anybody can take anybody, but for me,
Yes, the point he was making there before he went to office, we are not even supposed to be the ones discussing it. If institutions of government were actually functioning, like doing what they're supposed to do, are we supposed to be the ones discussing whether this is what this? Yes, it's back. Yes, it's saying
yeah.
that we're not supposed to even be discussing it if institutions of government were functioning properly.
Yeah, yeah. So, but like I said, for me, I think the most important, what I can do to move the needle forward is to try to encourage Nigerian people to, in some way realize that if Abiola actually did win that election, then the people's mandate actually won that election. The people won that election. Abiola did not vote for himself. There were 8 million votes for Abiola across Nigeria. They believed in his vision, and so that shows that we are the people. We, the people, are is the power behind any of these leaders. Once we decide for ourselves to take ownership of what belongs to us collectively, we will see that things will start to work out. Last elections in 2023, we had 100 million people with voters cards, yet only 20 million people total voted. 20 in total. The whole count was 20 million. So what happened to the other 80 million people with voters cards? They're using it to, I don't know what they were using the cards to do. Maybe it's a form of identification. But the idea is the more people that engage in the process and participate in this democracy, the stronger it's going to be. And I think that's what we should think about. What Babangida did 2 days ago, he basically acknowledged what we all know. Power is vested in the people. We have a voice and we have agency. The second we start to understand that we are our brother's keepers, and the way the shoe is pinching me, the same way it's pinching my brother Emeka and my brother Sadiq, then we realize that we are one, and we need to be moving in a direction that is geared towards a common purpose. And for me, that's a better Nigeria. Not necessarily for me because I'm already an old person now, but for my children and their children. I think that's. By the time Abdul Salam releases his own book, there's going to be another bombshell.
But are you looking forward to that?
How would I be looking forward to somebody telling me what happened that is about something in the past? I'm looking for even like the book, but I'm not going to buy it. I'm going to carry 40,000 out of my pocket to buy a book that will tell me that something happened in 1992. As far as I'm concerned, the only thing I'll be doing is looking for.
I was even going to ask whether you got an invite to maybe as a family to at least come to the book launch and at least read about.
My brother, you said it or not. The book was not about Abiola. The book was about Babangida and his journey in service. I think that's the title, A Journey in Service. If you read the book, you see that the service was a bunch of schools. Then he truncated the freest and fairest election, which is fine,
I know you haven't read the book.
But why would Abiola be there? Why would Abiola be there? It wasn't for us. They wanted to build a library, and I think they have achieved what they wanted to achieve. It wasn't for Abiola. We're talking about Abiola because in the book, there's one chapter in a book of maybe 12 chapters is dedicated to June 12, and everybody's talking about that. But the book was not about Abiola. Abiola was just a chapter in his life of service, basically. So I don't know if any of my family members were invited. I'm not sure of this, But I'm sure if they were, I would have been informed. I would have been told. But I don't think they were, and I don't know even if they were invited, they would have attended.
Okay, talking about institutional failures or functioning properly, if they were, if you had your ways, and so something should be proposed that okay, in light of this revelation made now, finally, it's just like somebody a criminal coming back to confess that okay, you know what, I did it. You know, if institutions were functioning as they should, if you had your way, you make a proposal. What do you think? Okay, now this person has come out to confess. Even if we are letting it go, at least if there is no consequence, we will be emboldening more people to continue to say, yes, anybody can do it and go on with it. What would you recommend, at least?
No, but I don't know if my recommendations really mean that much. But what I would say for you is, at the point of let's even go back into time since we're focused on the past. Let's say 1993, Abiola would have been announced the winner of the elections. If that's the case, then he would have become the president-elect of the country. Then this man would have ceased to be my father, and he would have become the father of the nation. Now let's also put everything into context. Abiola died in 98, so he would have been sworn in 1993. The odds are he would have probably ended up finishing his first tenure before he passed. So he would have actually become the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Now, this is now a state matter. If it's what I would have, what would expect would be that the state organs should spring into action. You know, he ceases to be my father now. He now becomes a national. He becomes a national figure and a representative of the states. So basically, what happens will now be a situation where, you know, the organs will be sprung. You know, I don't know the current procedure, but what I will be focusing on is maybe working within the family to see how we can maybe talk about coming up with a bill that we can send to the National Assembly in light of this new revelation to acknowledge the fact that MKO Abiola did win the election, and also to null and void the annulment of that election. So it will be just, you know, it could be a symbolic gesture where a certificate of return is handed to the family. You know, there's so many ways we can do this, but the fact that Abiola becomes a national figure, it's not incumbent on the state to secure his legacy and his estate. It's very important because if you're saying he won the election, then he was the president of the country. So so for me, it is not for me. Again, it's not for me to dictate what the state should do in these procedures. But I'm sure they know. I'm sure the different organs are aware of what should be done. And I, for one, will not focus on that. I'll focus more on how I can work towards, you know, realizing some of those visions my father had for the country. So that's where my focus is really. But like I said, you know, the second Abiola would have been pronounced president-elect, instantly everything would have changed for him, because then, you know, he's now not just representing the Abiola family, but representing the nation as a whole. So you get, so these are things that people that would come up with time, I guess. You know, I guess I don't know what more to say on that issue.
It's all right. I understand you want to somehow just pass on that one because you really don't want to get your legs in it. But I understand now. You see, there are so many persons in that book launch. You know, most of them considered like Democrats, democratically elected presidents after IBB. Some of them, in fact, there was a former vice president of Zimbabwe, the current president Tinubu, and most of the people also somehow, one way or the other, claim to have been persecuted during the military era and all that. And you saw all of them during the book launch, making speeches, laughing, donating, and all of that. How symbolic is that to you, considering that, you know, as a family, you feel that, MKO Abiola deserves that heroic position for all of those, the mandates, everything, and the people who benefited from the sacrifice who later came on to be. How symbolic is that to you?
Like when I saw the event and the picture of the event, what did I see? I saw Nigeria, people from different parts of the country I saw Nigeria, and if that's the case, then I guess we're not as divided as we thought. So I guess there's a unity at the top. It's just the masses are the ones that are divided. So what I just picked from that is that the unity is man made. This division that we think we have is man made. So at the top, there's no division, and we saw that live and direct on 2 days ago. But yes, you see, Abiola did what he did, and he stood on for justice and fairness. Uh, He stood for justice and fairness. He stood for justice and fairness. So I will tell you that his legacy is secured in the Nigerian people, where it's supposed to be. His legacy is secured. Me, as a son of the late Chief Abiola, I go everywhere and I'm received with love across. And then there's no greater joy. So I don't necessarily see, like, and then again, we don't know. Nobody knows. We know today, we don't know tomorrow. So like, I can tell you for a fact that I am very hopeful for the future of this country, because I understand that Rome wasn't built in a day, and a democracy is not a destination; it's a journey, and then there's going to be ups and downs, and we're going to have to know how we manage these different obstacles that we perceive. But like Abiola has done what he wanted to do, and I think it's now the turn for us as Nigerians to also try to push for the kind of democracy and society that we want to live in.
Okay, so there's something just struck my mind. Like, in how many ways, as the country, Nigeria as a country, the federal government reached out to the family, whether in one way or the other, to say whether for truce or whether for acknowledgement of the sacrifice or whether for honor? In how many ways, and which of them would you say, I mean, sufficiently enough, satisfies the family to say, okay, the sacrifice is acknowledged at this, and we are cool?
Okay. Okay, let's go back again. The former president, Muhammadu Buhari, I actually acknowledged Abiola posthumously and awarded him the title GCFR, which is actually reserved for president. So that's one. With Babangida's acknowledgement to, also is also adding to it. Like I said, Abiola was a messenger, and the Nigerian people voted for him. My issue is the messenger had a message. The message is I think will be a more profound, a more befitting way of honoring such a person. Letting us realize some of those dreams visions he had for the country. Farewell to poverty, and a government that is ruled by justice, where you don't need to know anybody to be able to get to make ends meet, and you don't have to sell your soul just so you can get ahead. So I think the idea here is to truly immortalize Abiola will be to actualize his
Ideals.
his ideals and his vision for the country, and then that's what we can, what I would mostly work towards. Because you can build a like a library for him. He will never read a book again. What is that? So I think the most important thing is how we can create a society that is inclusive, that is just, and that is equitable to all its citizens, and then we can talk about that. But when it comes to the government doing anything, like I told you, Buhari had done something, and June 12 now is Democracy Day, which is the public holiday across the nation, which is something as well. What we can now do is, the current president, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, was a strong supporter of Abiola at the time. He was also a pro-democrat, Nadeko leader, and he was part of that struggle. He was very close to my mom before he went on exile. So we can hope for a Nigeria that belongs to us all. That is inclusive. And that's what we should. I think that's what my father wanted to let people know, that Nigeria is beautiful in each of these geopolitical zones. Then you go to the east, it's a wonderful place, beautiful people, beautiful food, lovely culture. What we need to do is see the true value in our individuality and use that value to strengthen our collective.
I think what you have said so far sums it all, that the family has no grudge anymore about whatever events happened June 12th or anything around it, and everybody is just moving on. So, but just lastly for now, I'm just going to ask you, because somebody is curious whether you are interested in going into government to see how you can also help push these ideals. I mean, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is one of the ardent supporters or followers of MKO Abiola then through Nadeko and the likes of it. So, in what way would you be willing to also, I mean, join? Are you willing, or are you still looking, checking your your own diary?
Well, first of all, I'll tell you this: that I will consider any opportunity to serve Nigerians in any capacity as an honor and a privilege. I grew up in a family that believed in service, that believed in Nigeria, that believed in the potential of Nigeria. So it's only a duty of a son to fulfill promises kept or made by his father. So I don't think there's any, if and regardless of being put in any position, even in my little capacity as an individual, I can also see how I can move the needle forward. But like I said, any opportunity to serve, and I'm sure most Nigerians feel the same way. There maybe might be reasons why they're not serving, maybe some financial constraints or something or the other. But the most important thing for me is, if ever given an opportunity to serve, I will see it as a privilege, and I'll be very honored to give to a country that has given me so much and taken some as well.
Giving so much and taking so much. Okay, I love the way you put it. Okay, so that is Abdulmumeen's CV. In case the government cares, he has just signaled his interest. So thank you so much for your time. I'll let you go now. It's been a long
Thank
while
you.
trying to get you on air because of
No,
network glitch.
anytime, my brother. Anytime, anytime.
It's all right. I hope you enjoy your time, and do try, maybe if you get a book, let me know what you make of it in the eventual.
I have a soft copy. If you want it, I'll send to you now.
Have you read it?
I've been going through it. It's kind of emotional, when you start reading these things. Like I didn't
Uh,
even know how emotional it was. At first, when I even heard the announcement, I didn't take anything of it. I was about to go to sleep, and it just dawned on me, that there was so
okay.
much to this.
Okay. Before I let you go, somebody I don't know, Step Monic. What questions do you have for him before I let him go? Step Monic. Anybody here? If you have any questions for him, please do bring them up. But while you are waiting for your questions for the next 5 minutes before I release him, I'm just going to ask him, what have you been up to, Abdul Mumain? Uh,
Well, like at the moment, I'm in Abuja at the moment, so I've been
okay.
working closely with representatives in the National Assembly to see
Okay.
how we can do some projects in different communities to promote inclusion, unity, and and progress. We try to see how we can use government to get the majority of the Nigerian people taken care of. So that's what we're trying to do. Besides that, I'm a businessman, so I'm looking for money just like every other Nigerian. Trying to do one or two contracts here and there. It's challenging, but it's rewarding. Let me say that.
Okay. So, what's your take on, there's an event, National Assembly, there's an incident between Senate President and Senator Natasha Akpoti. How do you say? You don't want to go there. You don't want to go there.
Come on, how was it? Bro.
I guess there's a network glitch again. I will let him go right now. We'll bring him another time. Do not worry, people. Somebody wants to know if he still wants any national apology from the government. I think he mentioned that already. He said, I mean, government knows what to do, and whatever they do about it institutionally, it's is sufficient. Ugochukwu says Abiola did not win June 12. Stop the propaganda. Well, IBB just declared it by himself. I don't know what else you want to hear. Oh. Michael Peace Udu, bring back your daddy business empire. Oh, I wish he's still here so that he'll be able to respond to that. I'm not trying to break anything, but I just want people to have a chance to ask him questions. Okay, so I'm gonna leave it here for now, people. Thank you so much for your time. It's been cool. Thank you, everybody. Bye bye for now, please.